The Garden of Letters. In a quiet corner of the English countryside, nestled between a sleepy village and a forest of golden oaks, there was a centuries-old manor known as Rosewood Hall. Its gardens were famous, tangles of ivy, climbing roses, and a maze of stone paths that led nowhere and everywhere all at once. But few people knew that in one hidden corner of that garden, beneath an ancient willow tree, a love story had once begun, and was waiting to bloom again. Clara Whitmore, a London-based author struggling with writer's block, arrived at Rosewood Hall one misty September afternoon. The estate had belonged to her grandmother, who passed away and left it to Clara with only a short letter: "You'll find your story where mine ended." Clara hadn't been to the manor since she was a child, but stepping into the garden brought back waves of scent and memory. She decided to stay for a month, hoping the peace would inspire her next novel. What she didn't expect to find was a wooden bench beneath the willow, and beside it, a small iron box buried just under the soil. Inside the box were letters. Dozens of them. Yellowed, sealed with red wax, and addressed simply, to E. Each was dated from the 1940s. Curiosity turned into obsession as Clara read one after the other, unfolding a love story between a young nurse named Eleanor and a wounded soldier named James, who had met in secret under that very tree during World War II. The letters were poetic, raw, and real. James had promised Eleanor that if he survived, he would return to her in the spring. But the last letter ended with no answer, no closure. Just Eleanor's words: "I will wait for you, even if the world forgets." Clara was moved beyond words. She began researching the couple, combing through village archives, speaking with elderly neighbors, and even tracking down military records. Piece by piece, she discovered the heartbreaking truth. James had survived, but had been taken in by another family when he lost his memory after the war. Eleanor had waited her whole life, never knowing he was alive. One night, as Clara was writing again, truly writing for the first time in months, she heard footsteps in the garden. Startled, she looked out and saw a man standing by the willow tree, holding one of the old letters in his hand. His name was Edward James, James's grandson. He had read Clara's posts on a local history forum and had come to learn more. Together, they pieced together the story of Eleanor and James, and something unexpected blossomed between them. Edward was a botanist, passionate about preserving rare plants, and Clara was drawn to the way he spoke about life, quietly, like poetry. Day by day, as they restored the garden together, their bond deepened. The past had brought them together, but it was the present that made them stay. A year later, Clara published her novel, The Garden of Letters, inspired by Eleanor and James. On the last page, she wrote a dedication to all the hearts that waited, and to the ones that finally found their way home. Under the willow tree where history and heartbreak once met, Edward proposed with a ring carved from rosewood and a smile that promised forever. And this time, love did not have to wait. The Light Between Us. In a quiet coastal town called Westbridge, where the lighthouse stood tall above the cliffs and the waves whispered secrets to the shore, lived a young woman named Evelyn Hart. She worked at the town's only library, her days filled with books and silence, her nights with dreams she never told anyone. Evelyn was kind, thoughtful, and carried a heart full of stories she hadn't yet lived. Every morning, she walked past the lighthouse, curious about the man who lived there but never seen. Rumors swirled, some said he was a recluse, others believed he was a sailor who had lost someone at sea. No one really knew. The mystery of the lighthouse keeper intrigued Evelyn more than she liked to admit. One stormy afternoon, lightning cracked the sky, and rain flooded the streets. Evelyn, trying to get home, slipped on the rocks near the cliffs. Just as she was about to fall, strong arms caught her. When she looked up, she saw a man. Tall, with dark eyes and the scent of the sea clinging to him. "You should be more careful," he said gently. "Thank you," she whispered, heart pounding not from the fall, but from the nearness of him. "I'm Thomas," he said. "The lighthouse keeper?" she asked. He nodded, helping her stand. That moment began something neither of them expected. Over the following weeks, Evelyn and Thomas met often, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose. She would bring him books, and he would teach her how the lighthouse worked. He spoke of stars and tides, of grief and healing. She told him of poetry and love stories, of hope and longing. Thomas had once been a sailor. He had lost his brother in a storm and had chosen a life of solitude, punishing himself with isolation. Evelyn, with her warmth and quiet strength, slowly pulled him back to life. And Thomas, with his honesty and steady heart, showed her the kind of love that didn't just exist in novels. One night, under the lighthouse beam and a sky full of stars, he kissed her. "I never thought I'd feel this again," he murmured. "You were just waiting for the right story," she replied, eyes shining. Seasons passed. The town watched as the lighthouse keeper, once a ghost, began to live again, smiling, walking hand in hand with the girl from the library. Their love became the heart of Westbridge, quiet yet unshakable, like the sea meeting the shore. Years later, Evelyn still told their story, of the man who kept the light and the woman who helped him see. And every night, the lighthouse shone, not just for ships, but for hearts like theirs, lost and found in the light between them.